There are zero sexual references. Nothing. What?
There's one sexual reference.
I missed it.
It's not really sexual.
The cows.
Yes, when the cows get back together, it is to the tune of, is it Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On?
Get it on.
I've been really trying, baby.
Welcome to another episode of Is This for Kids? I am Jonathan Bearded Blevins.
I am Katie, MrsRuvi.
Today we get to talk about Garfield.
That orange cat doing orange cat things.
The new movie, Garfield, the movie.
The movie. Lest
Which, by the way, there was
it.
another Garfield movie that came out
Bill
long
Murray.
time ago. Yeah, and that got 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't like Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't care about what they think anymore, and I'm never reading it again. I'll talk about that later. This one got better reviews than that, but not great.
Yeah.
How it didn't get perfect reviews with Chris Pratt, Samuel L. Jackson, Brett Goldstein from Ted Lasso. That's who the really buff dog was.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was his accent, like his normal voice, which is just perfect. Yeah, he was sounded this exact same as he did in Ted Lasso.
But he was faking that.
What do you mean? Was he?
At the end of the movie, he was like,
"Oh,
this is
right,
not my real voice." Yeah.
But which one is his real voice?
I assume it's the English one.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's really who he was. It was so fun. So we're talking about Garfield today, the new movie that just recently came out. There was I don't know if you picked up on this, but there was a ton of product placement in this movie.
Oh my gosh, you could not miss it.
Walmart, Olive Garden, Netflix.
So many things that were like
Pop chips.
It didn't even look like they were cartoon. They weren't animated. It's like they stuck an actual pop chips in there.
Yeah.
It was wild.
It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But in honor of Garfield and his love for Italian cuisine, and because of the placement of Olive Garden, full disclaimer, Ruvi and I would both consider ourselves snobby American white foodies, right?
No.
I'm being facetious kind of, but we like food and we have good opinions about it.
I like food, but I will eat anything that's put in front of me because I was raised right.
Yeah, I understand. But you also, come on now.
I can tell when things suck.
She used to do a cooking show.
Yeah. I can tell when things suck.
On Twitch. And she rolled her eyes when I sent her, I sniped her some buttered noodles.
Buttered noodles.
You rolled your eyes, and when you tasted it, you said it was unbelievable.
I mean, I think you're misremembering that.
Nope, you loved it.
I'm going to need someone from
garlic salt. You have to al dente the noodles, garlic salt, grass-fed butter, lots of it, with fresh shaved Parmesan cheese. Oh,
someone in my community go farm a clip from that.
It was perfect.
If you can.
All that said, I am not I'm under no suspicion or belief that Olive Garden is real Italian food.
Right.
But I still kind of like it. It's like Taco Bell. Like I'll eat Taco Bell. I'd rather have authentic Mexican food, but I still like Taco Bell. Same thing for me.
I think Americans are way too hung up on the idea of authentic anything. They're like, oh, I want authentic Mexican food. My friend Daniela is from Mexico. She grew up in Guadalajara. She just moved here like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. She's like, authentic Mexican food means that you're eating like ground corn and potentially dogs. Like that's authentic. And I was like, well, okay. I like modern Mexican food. She gets real weird about it.
Interesting.
But like people are weirdly hung up in whether or not it's authentic.
Authentic.
And you're like, oh, let it go. Just if it's good, it's good. Let it go.
In honor of Garfield,
Yeah.
please rank your top 4 favorite items from Olive Garden.
Number 1.
Oh, you're starting with 1.
The best item at Olive Garden.
Okay.
The chicken marsala.
Interesting.
Yes. I love a marsala wine sauce. I love mushrooms. I think it's delightful. And they serve it with an angel hair pasta, and the sauce is the right amount of thickness. Now, I'm saying this pre-COVID Olive Garden because I think Olive Garden has gone downhill after COVID.
Okay.
Like they changed some stuff up. Number 2, tiramisu. Because tiramisu is good everywhere, always, at all times. There's never been a tiramisu that I didn't want to eat. Number 3, Olive Garden salad, specifically when you take the croutons and stick it into the dressing and let it soak it up while you consume the rest of the salad and then eat the croutons soaked in dressing as if it is an entree. Number 4, breadsticks. Delightful, delightful breadsticks. Buttery, warm, garlicky, delightful. They'll keep bringing them if you ask. And number 5 is...
Oh, you're going 5.
You said top 5.
I said 4.
Well, I'm going
That's
for
okay.
5.
Go 5.
No, number 5 is Diet Coke because everything else at Olive Garden is garbage.
Wow. All right. I'm going to go 5. I was going to do 4, but I'll do 5.
Okay.
For me, 5 is just any red wine. Okay. Because I wasn't going to do 5. Number 4, and this one's going to be a shocker. Garden salad.
That's what I said.
I know. They bring it out.
It's so good.
It's fresh. It's delicious. The dressing is good.
Yeah.
I don't eat a lot of salad, clearly, but it's very good there.
You can get that dressing at Costco and just drink it if you want.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Number 3, breadsticks, of course, because they're delicious. I think people are going to be offended we didn't have that as number 1, but it is what it is.
I mean, it's a side item.
Yeah.
You can't expect it to. You got to get a main.
I agree. Yeah. Number 2, well, I kind of agree. Number 2 is a main, 5 cheese ziti al forno. There's 5 cheeses. It's ziti noodles with some
is not for
sauce. Kids. What?
Our producer got it.
I don't get the joke, but you're funny. And number 1, the Super Toscana. It is so good. It's like an Italian chili.
Yeah.
Kind of. But cream based.
Yeah.
Unbelievably tasty. Dip the breadsticks in there. Life changing. Yes. Lately, they put less sausage, more kale in. When I say lately, I've been there once in the last 5 years, and it was during COVID. So maybe that explains it.
It got worse after COVID. Like they went to a limited menu during COVID, and I thought to myself, why? Is there something about this disease that makes Italian food, like it doesn't get angry and more effective during Italian food? I don't know.
Well, Garfield will be wildly offended at our list because there's no lasagna.
Are you a lasagna fan?
I am. I went to a really nice, authentic Italian place recently, and I had what looked like a deconstructed lasagna. I've never seen lasagna like it. It was a giant. It looks like you would think it would, except it was split into layers, and those layers were not attached.
Isn't lasagna?
It was very weird.
Deconstructed lasagna is just bolognese.
Yeah, kind of, but it was like in the shape of lasagna, but in pieces.
No, that's
it was like a puzzle. It was delicious. So yeah, I'm a huge lasagna fan. Yeah.
I like my lasagna if it's burnt. I purposefully burn lasagna.
The tops of it were absolutely burnt. It was great.
It needs to be burnt. Like
the cheese with the noodles, crunchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Apparently,
also frozen pizza.
Olive Garden has like a lasagna like frittata that everyone had in their top 10 when I looked it up.
This is not sponsored by Olive Garden, by the way, as evidenced by my crappy answer. But also, hello, Olive Garden. Would you like to prove me wrong?
Yes.
Because look at me right here.
I will
got
eat
5
Super
kids.
Toscana for kashish.
Yeah. I got 5 kids. I need to feed them all dinner. Give me some free coupons. I'll give you some publicity.
You'd be broke if one of your kids was Garfield because all he does is eat. It was a fascinating movie.
Fascinating.
Go ahead and summarize Garfield for our incredible listeners.
Yeah. So this is the story of Garfield's sort of starts out with his initial adoption by John after having been abandoned in an alleyway by his biological father, Vic. So Garfield gets adopted by John. John adopts Odie. They're living peacefully in John's house when all of a sudden Garfield and Odie are kidnapped by some, let's call them friends of our antagonist, right? The antagonist is Jinx, who is a former partner in crime to Vic, the biological father of Garfield. So Vic and Jinx used to work together. They were in this heist to steal milk, and Vic abandoned Jinx, seems to be a theme with Vic, to be taken to the pound. And so Jinx is understandably torqued off. And so she is now demanding that Vic make it right. And I'm not entirely sure why Odie and Garfield are required to get involved as well, but they all have to steal this massive quantity of milk from a dairy farm, which is now a corporate dairy farm. And in the meantime, they meet, what was the bull's name? I forgot.
Ethel and Otto.
They meet Otto the bull, who has been separated from his wife Ethel, and so they want to steal the milk and reunite Otto and Ethel and get back home for dinner.
That was a really great summary. Well done.
I love how much you compliment my summaries.
I think it's one of my favorite parts of the show. I have to say, so before this movie, I read the Rotten Tomato reviews.
Never read them.
I should not have done that, and I don't think we can ever get sponsored by Rotten Tomatoes, so we can just speak freely. We'll speak freely no matter what. Always. That's who you and I are. I think it's just a bunch of old curmudgeons. That is what Rotten Tomatoes is, because they just don't, like, the amount of times that they give a movie like 10 to 20 to 30% and the audience scores like 90. The critics.
Yeah.
They're just a bunch of like angry people. All of the writers, critics, were like, what a disservice to the comic book that is Garfield. Junk, giant money grab, just all this stuff. And I was just like, man, this movie's going to be horrible. I thought about just like reading about it and trying to do the show without it, but I was like, no, integrity. So I went to go see it, and it was fun. It was funny. It was just absolutely slammed by critics. I thought it was awesome. Great story. A movie for the whole family. I only wish my kids would have come with me because they would have loved it. But what did you think?
I agree with everything that you just said. It is very much a kids movie. Everything in it, like, it appeals to children. The hyperbolic eating. What I liked about it was that it wasn't trying to push an agenda or wasn't trying to do anything interesting with it. The fact that Garfield was constantly eating was not body shaming or fat positive. Like, it was nothing. It was just a thing he does.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have to come at it from an angle, which is incredible and definitely what we need in kids movies, because kids are not paying attention to that kind of thing anyway. That's adult concerns that we're putting on them and giving them anxiety. So I loved it. I thought it was fun. They did the goofy stuff, the slinging back and forth between trees, just stuff that kids like to watch that kind of went, the way of the dodo once, the Roadrunner and the Coyote weren't doing it anymore. So this was all like really kind of very fun base level kid stuff with a lot of cute like questions about fatherhood. So I thought you might want to jump in there. The
moral thing this movie's trying to do is it's just showing the relationship between Vic and Garfield and father and son. And it's adorable. It focuses a lot on the misconceptions that Garfield has about Vic. I won't go into too many spoilers. But I mean, just you can talk to your kids about communication, the importance of talking about our feelings, all those kinds of things. Great. But overall, in general, just a fun movie. I can't wait to watch it with both my boys. I probably will watch it one more time and make them watch it with me because it was great. I will say this. MrsRuvi, didn't you just get Millie a new phone?
Yeah, so this is not our first time introducing phones. We've got 2 older kids, and we made so many mistakes with the oldest one, and then we made new and interesting mistakes with the second one, but I think we might have cracked the code with this third one. Have you heard of the Bark phone?
I have.
Okay, it's super, super easy to set up. You kind of go in there and say, like, what do you want to be alerted to? Do you need to know if your kid got a skinned knee? Do you need to know if your kid's being bullied? Does your kid have access to these apps? Do you even want to give them access to the Google Play Store, that kind of thing? The Bark phone does it all on one thing, and then it alerts me through the Bark app on my phone.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's so much faster. And the main thing was that, like, we really didn't want her to have access to apps until maybe even high school at this point, based on our other experiences we've had with our kids. But she was so embarrassed at the idea of getting a flip phone. Bark phone looks just like every other kid's phone out there on the market, and she was delighted to get it. She's like, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to get a brick, and she got this nice high-tech good camera phone.
Good for Millie. As soon as my kids are old enough, I'll be doing the exact same thing.
I just got to get her to stop taking selfies.
Good luck. I will say this. If I'm going to always harp on there not being any positive male characters in movies.
Yes.
Which is one of my biggest annoyances in all of media right now. I have to then do the same when there's not really a positive female character in the movie. So there's 3 female characters as far as I can remember in the whole film. There is a cow who has no lines, Ethel.
Yeah. She's sort of a background. She's more of a set piece character.
And she's fine. She's nothing.
Yeah.
Then you've got the evil villain who is a female, and then you have the person in charge of security at the dairy farm who's an absolute psycho.
Yeah.
I mean, just clearly unhappy. They make jokes about her being unhappy.
Yeah.
And she's kind of nuts.
And then she takes the cat and becomes a legit cat lady.
Yes. Which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But so there's 0 good female characters. Now, normally I would be way more mad about that, but because it's just a dumb, fun kids movie, it's not trying to have really strong characters in general, that it's not as much of a problem for me as it would be normally.
Right. Nobody is, because it's not trying to take a moral stance or try to say anything about anything, you can sort of forgive those things. I think it's also helpful that the main characters are all animals. And I think that's kind of the theme, the way that we're going to have to start going with kids movies nowadays, that if you depict actual human beings, that there's going to be concerns about how you're depicting them and what does this mean to children and things like that. So I think that the safest thing for producers of media or kids media is going to be to stick to animals, which is I think why we're getting more Minions than we are Despicable Me 3 kind of things.
Yeah, which we just need more of. We need more stuff like this. There's one swear word and it's not that bad. There are 0 sexual references, nothing what?
There's one sexual reference.
I missed it.
It's not really sexual.
The cows.
Yes, when the cows get back together, it is to the tune of, is it Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On?
Get it on.
I've been really trying, baby. But before it gets to the line of Let's Get It On, it cuts out.
Yep.
That you don't even hear that line. It's just sparkles and swirling around each other and then fade to a different scene.
So almost nothing.
So it's the only person who will catch it is adults who know that song. Kids don't know that song anymore.
Nothing political, no agenda like you're saying, just a fun movie for the family. If product placement offends you, okay.
That's going to be in there.
Yeah, it's whatever. I don't
Since
get
nobody's going
offended
to
by
the theaters anymore, they have to make money somehow.
Yeah. So you think they pay for that, huh?
What are you, crazy? Of course they pay for that.
Like Netflix to have cat flicks. Like, you know what I mean? So it was cat flicks. They never said Netflix, I don't think.
That might have been
cat
fine.
flick.
That might have just been like a cultural reference. But the Pop Chips, 100%.
I will say, I thought, and Walmart towards the end. Pop Chips was obviously a thing.
And of course.
Oh, they did a really good job of like summarizing what our culture is like now. Like, it's Garfield in 2024.
Yeah.
And I loved that. Like, just the phone and like door dashing food and all that kind of stuff was like super cool.
Yeah, Garfield's like having the worst kid who knows the password to your Amazon account. Is exactly what it is. And I think one of the things people were real fussy about was like a great overarching theme in the comic book was John's dating life. And so there was John didn't date. John just looked for his pets the whole time because his pets were missing. But quite frankly, we talk enough about there being too much dating, too much romance, too much sex, too much interest in the opposite or the same gender in any kids media. I think removing John's dating life for a kids movie makes sense. The comic book was in the newspaper, and while kids were reading it, the comic strip rather was in the newspaper. And while kids were reading it, it doesn't mean that it was a big part of their life. So that was there for adults. This is a kids movie. We've taken out the part that's not for kids.
Yeah.
And I think the more we all agree that dating, romance, whatever is not for kids, the better we are.
I agree 100%. What age would you say Garfield is appropriate for?
Okay, so slightly controversial here.
Oh?
I would say it's appropriate for any age, but I would give the caveat that I took my 3-year-old and she was bored. I was also bored because this is very much a kids movie and I don't have a kids type, like kids enjoy it. I'm an adult. So it was boring for me, but it was great for the kids. So you're going to want to stick this into an age range of probably 5 to 11 is going to be like your preferred range.
Yep, I agree. For all ages, I said 6 and up, agree, but like, because they'd be interested in it, agree with you 100%. It's a fun one. We need more stuff like this, more family-friendly movies that are just kind of fun and a little bit quotable, and he's adorable. So
yeah, and to be fair, Chris Pratt could sneeze into a Kleenex and I would watch it for 4 hours. So
Chris Pratt, our producer says a crime that he gets away with just being the exact same character with the exact same voice
he doesn't even change
forever, and he just makes tons of money. It's incredible.
I am fine with it.
Yep.
He's funny.
Chris Pratt, if you want to come on the show, let us know. Is this for kids?
Hey, that would be great. You know, I'm already friends with Chris Pratt.
Yeah, you tricked him.
Chris, I'll call you later. Where can people find more of this content?
Isthisforkids.com. We're very active on YouTube and Instagram. We read all the comments. Ruvi loves to respond to all the comments. I do my best.
What I want this video to be is just 100 comments of, hey, at Pratt. Just all of it.
Yep. Tag him so he knows about the podcast and wants to be a guest.
My kids would be so excited. Okay. Hey, there's so much content out there for parents to wade through.
I'm Jonathan Beard of Blevins.
I'm Katie, MrsRuvi. Let us help you decide.
Is this for kids?